I would like to get an answer from you. Whatever you type, does it come from your mind or does it come from the books you read? As you read these books, as you read these internet sources, as you read these journals, and as you type whatever you're typing, who is the controller of the idea? Is it the source or you? Who is the controller? Who dictates what you will write in the next line? I am going to work together with you. Now we are doing chapter 1. 1.1 is introduction. 1.1 is introduction. The first paragraph, by the way, in this study that we had here, how many variables do we have? How many variables do we have in this study that we were talking about here? How many variables? How many variables in total do we have? How many? We had one dependent variable, 3 independent variables. So how many do we have? Do we have 4 variables? No, we don't have 4 variables. We have 5 variables. Where is the 5th variable coming from? From the topic, it sums up all the 3. Talent management is 1 variable. Then we have talent acquisition, variable 2. We have the 3rd variable, which one? Talent reward and talent identification. And we have the dependent variable, which is staff retention. Now, let me ask you, of all these 5 variables, which is the most important variable that every time you start writing, you will begin with that one? The answer should come from this side. Which one? Which is the most important variable? Hapo nyuma. Which is the most important? Please remember that the dependent variable remains the most important. That is why we did not even break it down in the conceptual framework. It remains as it is. So, the opening, what you want to achieve in this study, you want to achieve staff retention. But you believe staff retention is not doing well because chances are talent management is not handled properly. You get the point? So the intervention is talent management. But what you want to achieve is staff retention. And if we tried talent management and we notice it's not working, we will drop it out of the window and we'll look for another way to resolve the problem of staff retention. The injection and the patient, who is more important? Will you now handle the treatment? Oh, I have this treatment, madawa. This is more important, very important, until we forget the patient. It is the patient that we are taking care of. But remember, there are some cases where the dependent variable looks like it is not the problem. But sometimes be very careful. If you have a study, effects of drug abuse on academic performance, chances are very high that you will imagine drug abuse is the problem. Please note, it is not the problem in that study. It is an intervention to achieve academic performance. In as much as it sounds negative, don't just look for anything that sounds negative and say, here is the problem. Problem usually lies with the dependent, in the dependent variable. Ask yourself this question. In that study, are you saying academic performance, if applied well, drug abuse would go? Did you hear me? That study, we are testing to see how drug abuse affects academic performance. And I'm saying the problem is in academic performance. The intervention is in drug abuse. Because, ask yourself this question. What if you turned it the other way? Will it make sense? Does it make sense that academic performance could affect or be an intervention for drug abuse? Is there a day that academic performance will be an intervention for drug abuse? Then you straightforward know that in as much as drug abuse looks negative and a bad thing, but in this study, it is an intervention. For another study, it could be the problem. You get the point? For another study, it could be the problem. But for this study that we are talking about, it is the intervention. Now, writing. Where do the ideas come from? How do you relate what you have? How do you relate what you have in the conceptual framework and use it throughout your writing? Okay. You are now writing chapter 1. 1.1 is introduction. Chapter 1, how do we call chapter 1? What is chapter 1? Introduction and background of the study. Chapter 1 is introduction and background of a study. Now we are writing 1.1. 1.1 is usually introduction. Under 1.1, we want to introduce all the variables. Remember, we are not defining. Just note the difference. There is a section for defining of terms. But here, we are giving a general overview of the variable, so that by the time we get to the problem or the conceptual framework, we already have given someone a feel of what the variable is about. Now, 1.1 is introduction. So we are getting into the paragraph. Paragraph 1. Paragraph 1. There are many styles of writing, and I will not dictate you on the specific style that you may want to use. However, what I will say is that 1.1, as you begin, I expect to see you beginning for that specific study with something about staff retention. So after staff retention, we are supposed to go to talent management, the bigger one. Then after that, we expect to go to the smaller subsets of it. Then what about, what was coming below talent management? We had talent identification, talent acquisition, and talent reward. A 2-page presentation about this, 2 pages is good enough. As you write, a good researcher will have the word page where you are typing on one side, and on the other side you will have the internet, whatever, browser on the other side. Then you go to, if I'm using books, I would go to Google Books. Okay? Once I go to Google Books, I will type what I want to say. What I want to say. Did you hear? Did you hear me? Yes. Remember the question was, whose ideas are these? Who puts these ideas together? I will type what I want to say, not what the books want to say. But after typing what I want to say, I will Google a book that has said the same things. You know, you are not bringing any new knowledge in literature review. You understand? You're not bringing any new knowledge. New knowledge will come as we examine the findings of the study. Here we are simply trying to put some facts together. So I may have thought not talent management, but staff retention. Staff retention. Staff retention has been found to be a challenging topic, especially for African countries. Who is thinking those words? Me. But I will go online and Google those words. And I will find a book that's talking about Africa, staff retention, challenge. Those become the key words. And you will find a book, boom, that talks about that. A book that was written in 2015 or 2014. A current source. You understand? Now, bring those ideas. Do not copy-paste those ideas. If you do that, you are lazy. Put them in your own words. By putting them in your own words, you are owning the idea. You are understanding what you're typing. You know, when you copy and you paste here, what have you done? You've just copied and pasted. Who cannot copy and paste? Who? Everyone can copy and paste. So you interact with that knowledge. In fact, the best approach is once you've opened the book and once you've read from the book, close the book and take the key points. Take them down in your own language, in your own thinking. After that, immediately go to the reference section and reference that source as you reference in text also. You understand? Reference both at the end of your text and within text. The full reference appears at the end, but inside, in text, that is where you simply reference according to APA. And according to APA, we have organizational names and year, or surnames and year. Please do not cite www in text. There is nothing like that. There is nothing like HTTP www in text. According to People and Knowledge in Africa 2015, no. According to www.cleverpeople.com, in-text, never do that, because that's a common mistake. Many students make that mistake. Citing websites info. It is organizational name and year, or surname of the author, or authors' surnames and year. Basically, that's the rule. But within the guidelines, you have a document that shows you how to cite in APA. And that we could even organize. Usually, when we're moving towards the graduation, I usually have sessions where I talk about APA only. Because I realize many students will try to avoid APA. And by avoiding APA, they are going through a lot of trouble. So we try to support our students in that way. So if it didn't work, just forget about it. Forget about it. You know Murphy's Law? You know Murphy's Law? Yeah. What does it say? Murphy's Law? Yes. Yeah? What can go wrong will actually go wrong. Now you can see this thing is failing me and it works. So you can see, but don't worry, because we've done the explanation. Is there anyone who didn't understand what I was talking about in that section? Because that section is so important, ladies and gentlemen. Because that is the actual writing itself. Actual writing itself. Any question? Any question there? Any question? Yes, please. I'm not getting you at all.
Let's say I'm on the first sentence of the introduction.
She's saying she's at the first page of the introduction.
Yeah, I say gotten an idea from Google Books.
And she's gotten an idea from, say, Google Books.
Let's say challenges, challenges of staff retention in Africa. How far should I go in explaining in my own words the challenges
For example, she's talking about challenges of something in Africa, and she's within Google Books, and she's checking. Please note, don't just stick with my example. I used an example of Google Books. Please note, you could use journals, you could use websites, but when you use websites, you've got to be careful about the sources. Now, the question she's asking, how far should you go? Yes?
See, there is Africa, there is Kenya, there is Nairobi, there is Kisumu, you know, and maybe I'm doing my research in Kisumu. So should I write down, I narrow down from Africa to Nairobi?
Yes, it's usually a funnel-shaped presentation. You start wide, but you narrow. But remember, when you're doing, it depends on which part of your research you're writing. Because, for example, if you're doing 1.1 should be a maximum of 2 pages, as I've indicated. Will you start wild and you go so far? You have to realize, yes, when talking about retention, you may need only 1 paragraph. You understand? You are just touching. But as you are talking from one aspect to another, you link them. Don't just write this independent and go to the next independent. You have to link them. For example, you may be talking about staff retention and show that staff retention has been a challenge, especially in Africa. Talk about brain drain. What is happening? Professionals are moving to other countries. Blah, 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 blah. Once you're done, what is the next thing you want to talk about? What's the next thing after retention? Talent management. According to XYZ 2015, staff retention cannot be achieved without talent management. Now start talking about talent management. Talent management has been this way, has been that way, has gone this way, has gone this way, has gone that way. You know, talk about talent management and then pass the ball to the next variable. You understand? Don't just leave it hanging. But there are many writing styles also. Okay? Yes. In there?
Wikipedia, for example,
Uh-huh.
where the source of the knowledge is not communicated, but implied is one knowledge. So, what do you say to that?
Okay, I will try as much as possible to avoid going into APA citation, but what I'll tell you, Wikipedia, right now, Wikipedia still is at the discussion stage. There are some scholars who are saying Wikipedia is a good source, and there are scholars who are saying, by the way, whatever appears on Wikipedia, could we edit? We can still go there and edit. Yeah, I remember I edited something about a certain company. I saw some wrong information and I got the right information and I went to Wikipedia and I edited. And it remains the way I put it. So, Wikipedia still the information could be having issues. But scholars are saying Wikipedia will be a powerful source of knowledge. By the way, you realize that whether we talk about it or not, we still depend on Wikipedia in a big way to get some information. True or false? And we plagiarize a lot from it. True or false? Let me not catch you because I'm seeing you going yes, 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 yes. But I hope you're getting what I'm talking about. Okay? Now, avoid using Wikipedia for now. In future, I do not know what, and by the way, that should be edited because I don't want to have problems with Wikipedia. Okay, the point is, when you check, if I went online and typed those words, it is not only Wikipedia that says those words. Many other authors are saying those same words. What's the time right now? Yes? 8:15. I need to move very fast. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to move to the last part of my presentation. Right now. I have to move very quickly. Right now.